I'm Daniel Gregoire, also a member of the Board of Trustees, and I'm really honored to offer this chalice lighting to open our business meeting. These chalice lighting words actually are from a prayer attributed to the British novelist Jane Austen. She prayed, "Incline us to think humbly of ourselves, to be saved only in our examination of our own conduct, to consider our fellow creatures with charity, and to judge all that they say and do with the charity that we would desire from them ourselves. We light this chalice in this spirit. May its light bring greater understanding and greater compassion to our world."
Claudia, there's Claudia to present quorum for this business.
All right, Claudia!
I come from a rowdy congregation. In my role as chair of the Credentials Committee, I wear two hats today. I declare that there are 128 member delegates and 33 ministerial delegates present, representing 39 congregations, and a quorum is present.
Thank you. She'll stay close, I know. Mia Morris, Secretary of the Board.
All right, Mia! Oh, Mia!
I hope you all had a chance to take a look at the minutes in your program. May I have a motion to accept the minutes? And properly second. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you.
We declare the minutes approved. Claudia?
Now I have my hat on as the chair of the nominating committee. Could I ask the following people to stand, please? They are Sabrina Alano, the Reverend Bob Janice Dillon, Patsy Kaplan. Jerry Muntz, I know, is not here. He was sad to miss his first Metro District meeting in, I think, 10 years, so he's here in spirit. Okay, I don't know if you can see very well in the dark. Would you guys wave? Maybe? Thank you. So these are the folks who brought you the slate that we're going to be presenting and voting on in just a moment. And with one new member, Lee Pardee, who I'll ask to stand in just a moment. Oh, well, she can stand now. There she is. So I want you to look at these folks because I'd like to invite you to all be members of the nominating committee. The task of matching, I learned this when I first became a UU about 20 years ago, the task of matching people's gifts or giving them opportunities to apply their gifts to the needs of the congregation and the community is spiritual. So what they're going to be looking for over the next several months are people who feel called to become more involved in the work of the district. So please, if you feel so moved, introduce yourself, or if you know someone you think might be interested, or you just want to find out more what the nominating committee does and what the board does, please reach out to them. Okay, thank you. We'll vote in a few minutes, but let me just mention a couple of other things. So as I sort of prefigured, nominating to be part of the nominating committee moving forward are Sabrina Alano and the member Lee Pardee, and leaving is moi. So I'm just going to sort of tell you the slate and then we'll do the votes. Nominated to remain sort of re-upping as president is Ted Fetter, and if I know you know who he is, but if you would please stand up. I would just like to say that part of what we did as the nominating committee was to interview current board members, previous board members, district staff, to find out what is needed by the board, what skill set, how the board operates, what the vision is, and without prompting, every person that we spoke with said how much Ted contributed, his vision, his energy, and how the board was in such good hands. So I just want to in the spirit of acknowledging, I would also like to mention those who have been willing to join the Board of Trustees, been honored and willing, and who will remain on the board. And those are Chris Guja, he's here still, great. Rick Fierber, Daniel Gregoire, who we saw a moment ago, Mia Morse, and who is leaving, regretfully, is Ron Ruel. So I'd like to acknowledge the service of all of these folks. And Ron, I hope you're standing up. There he is. Thank you. And then nominees for the trustees at large. In fact, in other words, those folks who will be voting on this year include Athena Drews, stand, and she is new to the board this year, so we will take credit for all the great qualities and energies that Athena brings to the board, since we're responsible for matching her with the board. Reverend Craig Hirschberg, who we saw a moment ago. The Reverend Tracy Sprouse Jenks. And also Jennifer Stevens, who we saw recently also. Okay. So thank you all very much for your service, and I hear the room resonating with that. So now, that was the report, now we're into the election. So the way they did it last year, I read the minutes, was to ask that someone move that we cast a single ballot electing the proposed slate of nominating committee members. Second? Okay, now I'm going to ask the delegates to vote, because we made a big deal of checking the delegates. So will the delegates please, those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, it is declared that the slate of nominating committee candidates is approved. Now that you know the drill, we'll do the second half. I would like to entertain a motion for a single ballot to be cast electing the proposed slate of the Board of Trustee members at large. You know the drill. Second. Okay. Delegates, please, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the slate is approved. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is John Hawkins. I've had the privilege of serving as the UUA trustee for this district for the last 13 months. I'll be doing this for about another 6-7 weeks. When the gavel comes down at the end of the General Assembly, Michael Tino, who you'll be electing in a few moments, will succeed me as trustee from this district. I want to thank you for the opportunity to do this work and to do it for a little while longer. It's been a very special experience. It's been, if I may say so, one heck of a lot of work. Good luck, Michael. But it's been very rewarding. We've grappled with some tough issues. I trust that all of you have read the written report that I submitted in advance, which has been available from the web. If you haven't, I don't want to read it to you. Instead, I want to mention a few things that I did not say in my written report. First, I wanted to emphasize the Gather Here project that Ted mentioned earlier. This is a really exciting project that's going to be engaging many congregations across our country, as well as other representatives of UU interest, in celebrating our successes and also in thinking about our vision for the future as congregations and as an association. I think I'll probably be helping out a little bit with that, as Ted has been. I think that's really going to be a very exciting project that's going to provide invaluable information for the UUA board in articulating our shared vision, as well as for congregations and for our district and for the staff in really understanding how we can work towards that vision. If you were here for morning worship, you had heard Michael say that governance is not salvation. If I'm misquoting you, forgive me. I don't want to argue with that point. I would certainly agree that bylaws changes are not salvation, but I have to say I do the work of governance because I'm concerned with how our association sees our future and seeks to influence. So it may not be salvation, but I do think it's worthwhile work that has been worth doing, and I thank you again for that opportunity. And I do want to mention a few bylaws changes that are going to be on the General Assembly agenda and tell you why I would ask that you support them. How many of you are going to be delegates to GA this year? Okay, so enough people to talk with about this. I just want to mention a few of them, not all of them. There are a couple of bylaws changes that are on the agenda that are C bylaws changes. These are a bit controversial because they require 2 years of approval by our General Assembly. And that means that these will appear not only this year, but if they pass, they will also appear next year at the Justice GA in Phoenix, which we have been asked to ensure has minimal business. Now, the board decided that these should be on this year's agenda, and it passed on next year's agenda because we think these are, to some degree at least, justice issues. One asked that we remove the restriction that congregations be local institutions. In other words, that we support ways for congregations to gather beyond bricks and mortar institutions. This is a justice issue, especially for many identity groups. We feel that we need to be encouraging people to find new ways to gather, and that that's important to the future of our association. So that will be on this year's agenda. Another makes it a little easier to amend changes that are proposed amendments that are brought to our principles and purposes. You may recall that a couple of years ago, the changes that were proposed for our principles and purposes were not approved by GA, but many people wished that we could include language of inclusion in our principles. And because of our bylaws, we weren't able to do that. So the second C bylaws change is going to make that change possible. This will still not be an easy process to amend our principles, but it will make it possible for us to deal with points of agreement. So those are a couple of things. A third thing, which is a little ironic in a way, is that we're seeking to eliminate actions of immediate witness from our business at General Assembly. This is not because we don't think that there are things in our world that require immediate witness and justice, but it's because these are so have such detailed procedures in our current bylaws that they chew up a huge amount of plenary time for very small and temporary results. So we don't think that that's going to be appropriate to really have the kind of focus as what we need in Phoenix next year to do justice work in a more hands-on way that is really immediate. There will be a proposal to remove actions of immediate witness completely so that they are not there for 2012. There's a separate motion to restore them in a somewhat reduced form for 2013. So those are some of the things that are on the business agenda. The last thing, and I thank your patience for this,